Everyone was waiting for the final sprint. But Georgia Hunter Bell had been waiting too. With the race still wide open and the best runners in Europe packed together, Bell stayed patient. Then, with the final lap approaching, she unleashed a devastating change of pace. In just seconds, the race was beginning to slip away from the field. And when Hunter Bell finally hit the home straight, there was no stopping her. Georgia Hunter Bell was becoming European champion in front of a roaring Birmingham crowd. But this victory wasn't simply about one fast final 150 meters. It was about patience, positioning, timing, and knowing exactly when to attack. So how did Hunter Bell turn a tactical 1500-meter final into a dominant victory? Let's break it down. Georgia Hunter Bell came into Birmingham with serious momentum. Earlier in 2026, she had already won the women's 1500 meters at the World Indoor Championships in Turin, running 3 minutes 58 seconds and 53 milliseconds for the title. And her return to the top level had already become one of the biggest stories in British athletics. Hunter Bell had stepped away from the sport in her early 20s before making her comeback, and that comeback had taken her all the way to major championship medals and now a world indoor title. But Birmingham was different. This was a home championship, and the European 1,500 meters title was waiting. The race began with a very different kind of challenge. There was no immediate sprint. No one wanted to commit too early. The field stayed tightly packed, with athletes watching each other and waiting for someone else to make the first serious move. And that was exactly the kind of race where Hunter Bell could be dangerous. Instead of wasting energy fighting for the lead, she stayed controlled. She remained close enough to the front to react to any move, but she wasn't interested in doing unnecessary work. That patience would become one of the biggest factors in the race. As the runners moved through the opening laps, the pace remained tactical. Hunter Bell stayed composed. The leaders weren't getting away. The chasing group wasn't breaking apart. Everyone knew the real race would come later, and then the pace began to change. With around 600 meters remaining, the field started to accelerate. Suddenly, the comfortable tactical race was over. The athletes were now fighting for position. The gap between winning and losing was becoming smaller with every step. Hunter Bell was still right there. She hadn't panicked. She hadn't burned energy trying to create a huge gap. She was simply waiting for the moment when her finishing speed could make the difference. Then came the decisive phase. The bell sounded. One lap remained. And now the race was completely different. Hunter Bell began moving with purpose. The runners around her were also accelerating, but Bell looked composed. That matters enormously in a 1500-meter championship final. You don't just need speed, you need to know when to use it. Too early, and you risk fading before the finish. Too late, and you might never get around the athletes in front of you. Hunter Bell found that balance. She stayed patient until the final part of the race, and then she attacked. The final 400 meters became the story of the race. Hunter Bell produced a remarkable closing lap of 58.44 seconds, the fastest decisive finish in the field, and suddenly the runners behind her were fighting for second rather than first. This is where her strength became obvious. The race had been tactical. The field had been together, but Hunter Bell had another gear. As she moved into the final 150 meters, she began opening daylight. The crowd could see it. The runners behind her could see it. And Hunter Bell knew it. She didn't hesitate. She kept accelerating toward the finish. The final straight was no longer a battle. It was a celebration waiting to happen. Hunter Bell powered away from Claudia Kazimierska and the rest of the field, and the Birmingham crowd erupted. The British runner crossed the line in 4 minutes 7 seconds and 78 milliseconds to claim the European 1,500 meters title. Kazimierska of Poland followed in second, while Portugal's Patricia Silva took bronze. But the final result doesn't completely explain how impressive the performance was. The key was what Hunter Bell did before that final lap. She didn't try to win the race in the first 800 meters. She didn't waste energy fighting for every position. She trusted her finishing speed. And when the race finally became a test of who could accelerate hardest, She had the answer. That's what makes championship racing so difficult. A fast time isn't always the goal. Sometimes winning means running intelligently. You have to read the race. You have to understand your opponents. You have to conserve energy. And then, when the moment comes, you have to commit completely. Hunter Bell did exactly that. Her performance also added another major title to an extraordinary 2026 season. After winning the World Indoor 1,500 meters title earlier this year, she arrived in Birmingham with confidence and left with another championship gold. And there's something even more impressive about the way she has reached this point. Hunter Bell's career has not followed the usual path of an elite middle-distance runner. She stepped away from athletics in her 20s after injuries, burnout, and a difficult period in the sport. For several years, running was no longer her main focus. Then came her return. And that return eventually led to an Olympic bronze medal, a World Championship silver medal, major international victories, and now another European title. So when she crossed that finish line in Birmingham, it wasn't just another gold medal. It was another chapter in one of the most remarkable comebacks in modern British middle-distance running. And the way she won it made the moment even better. She didn't dominate from the gun. She didn't need to. She waited, she watched, she conserved. And when everyone else had to find another level, Hunter Bell simply had more left. That is the difference between running fast and racing smart. The final result tells us the numbers. Georgia Hunter Bell, for minutes 7 seconds and 78 milliseconds. Claudia Kazimirska, silver. Patricia Silva, bronze. But the most important number might be the final lap. 58.44 seconds, because that was where the European title was won. For several laps, the entire field believed they were still in the race. Then Hunter Bell changed the pace, and within seconds, the championship belonged to Great Britain. In front of her home crowd in Birmingham, Georgia Hunter Bell delivered exactly when it mattered. A patient race, a devastating final lap, and another major championship gold. This wasn't just a victory. It was a reminder that in a championship 1500 meters, you don't always have to lead the race. Sometimes you just have to know when to take it away from everyone else.